Donovan Mitchell returned to the Cavs lineup, dropped 29 points. I think that was his second largest scoring output since the All Star break. The other one being in a matchup against Kyrie Irving, Luka Doncic, and the Dallas Mavericks shortly after the All Star break. So it was pretty good to see him kind of out there moving around a little bit better than we had seen him moving around prior. Seeing him being more vocal, we all know Donovan Mitchell to be a very vocal floor general, very vocal leader when he's out there on the court. To see him really just get his legs up under him, I think he hit 5 3-point shots last night. So clearly, it was the best that we've seen Donovan Mitchell play in quite some time. And I think that's very encouraging. The Cavs got 2 games left. And for as rocky as this thing has been over the last month and a half, I think that seeing Donovan Mitchell get healthy, seeing the way he played against a horrible Memphis team. Before I go any further, let me preface. I understand that we played a horrible ass Memphis Grizzlies team that we should have beat. I believe they had 12 players that was on the injury list. And of course, John Morant has not played in quite some time. Jerry Jackson Jr. was not there to name a few. So that should tell you what the Cavaliers was dealing with. I think at one point the Cavaliers was 18.5-point favorites to win this game. So they walked away with a win that they quite honestly should have gotten. It didn't look so promising to start the game. Memphis was able to hang in there. I think at one point the Cavaliers got down by as many as 9 points. But in the second half, man, they kind of tightened up, got their stuff together, ended up pulling away for a convincing victory in a game to where I think we see Donovan Mitchell play his best basketball in quite some time. We all know what he's dealing with with the nose and with the knee. He was without the mask, and I thought that was encouraging. He seemed to be a little bit more comfortable. It seems like for him, when he put that mask on, he couldn't get his rhythm. He couldn't get his feet up under him. He just didn't seem right. So just seeing him healthy, seeing him being more vocal, and even with how bad the Cavaliers has played, even with how bad you can say JB Bickerstaff has coached over the last few weeks, I think that just seeing him, be healthy can create some optimism. The Cavaliers right now, after their win yesterday, are the fourth seed, holding on to that last playoff spot that qualifies for a home court advantage. And I think that they're going to fight like hell over their last 2 games to make sure that they secure that 4 seed. A healthy Donovan Mitchell should create optimism within the locker room and within the fan base because quite honestly, we all know without Donovan Mitchell, there's nothing that this Cleveland Cavaliers team can do that will produce quality winning outcomes. That's just the reality of the situation. But if we can hold on to that 4 seed, and if we can draw either Orlando or Indiana in the first round of the playoffs, I'm quite confident in the Cleveland Cavaliers going up against either one of those two opponents in the first round. I think when you look at our roster compared to those rosters, I think we quite frankly are the better team. And I think that in the case of a team like Orlando, for example, I think that you're going to be dealing with the Cavs being a team that was in the same situation Orlando was in the Cavs being in, the Orlando Magic, I'm sorry, being a team that the Cleveland Cavaliers was in last year. And what do I mean by that? Meaning that this was a Cavs team that made the playoffs. They were young, they were raw, they were really ignorant to the whole situation. We remember the lights is too bright comments from Jared Allen, and we all seen how that playoff series, kind of ended up panning out. And I think that might be the case for a young, talented Orlando Magic's team who, quite honestly, has shown like, they continue to add the right pieces and continue to grow with the players that they have, that they can be a force to be reckoned with in the seasons to come. But this is a team to, I think, a lot of people surprised. They made the playoffs. And so far, it looks like they're making the playoffs as a team that's going to be a top 6 seed, not a team that's going to be in the play in. And I think that the Cavaliers, it's the saying that we say sometimes in the hood called, oh, man, I got me one. I think if the Cavaliers draw the Orlando Magic, then they got themselves one. a young team that's probably, defied the expectations for this season, and a team that is in the same situation that the Cavs was in. They new to this. They really don't know what it's like to play playoff basketball. They really don't know what it's like to be in a hectic, hostile playoff atmosphere. Because that's the one thing that we do know over the history of the Cleveland Cavaliers and Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse is once it's playoff time, man, that place is rocking. And so I think a healthy Donovan Mitchell that can sustain the level of play that we saw against a porous Memphis Grizzlies squad yesterday, I think it can go a long way in getting the Cavaliers out of the first round of the playoffs as long as you draw the right opponent. And it's crazy because those two teams behind the Cavs are the Orlando Magic and the Indiana Pacers, which we play host to Friday night, being Indiana. And that's going to be a game that I think a lot of people in the city is going to be paying very close attention to. A game that people is going to look and say, okay, even though things have been as bad as they have been over the last 10 to 15 games, if the Cavaliers can show us something against this particular team as we close out the regular season and head to the playoffs, I think that'll give the fans a boost of energy if they happen to draw the Indiana Pacers in the first round. And I think the energy boost would be there if we was to draw Orlando. But the key is Donovan Mitchell. If Donovan Mitchell is healthy, then yes, despite what has happened over the past 2, 3 weeks or even over the past month, I think that gives some type of optimism on what the Cleveland Cavaliers can do, you know, come come the playoffs. It's only been 5 games played in the month of April, but if you go and you look at the numbers over just the 5 games this month, you got Evan Mobley, who's averaging 16 points and 7 rebounds. You got Jared Allen averaging 17 points and 9 rebounds. And even for all his struggles right now, Darius Garland is averaging 18 points and 7 assists in the month of April. So through 5 games, you got, at least judging off the numbers, you got the surrounding supporting cast playing pretty well and putting up some quality numbers that can be a contributing factor to the Cavaliers getting out the first round of the playoffs. So, y'all let us know what y'all think on that part. Of course, man, drop hashtag U216 in the comment section. Drop where you're watching from in the comment section. And I'm curious to know what your feedback is on that. Do you believe if Donovan Mitchell is healthy as can be, because he's not going to be 100%, but if Donovan Mitchell is healthy as can be, come the playoffs and the Cavaliers either draw the Orlando Magic and the Indiana Pacers, do you believe that the Cleveland Cavaliers can get out the first round of the playoffs? It'd be interested to know what you know about that. Speaking of the Cleveland Cavaliers, speaking of the playoffs, it's playoff time in the NBA and NHL. Baseball is in full swing right now, and FanDuel is your place to bet on every single game, y'all. Right now, new customers, man, they're getting $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $150 win or lose. Bet on everything from slap shots to home runs to slam dunks, all on an app that is safe, secure, and easy. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel/UCSS, make your first bet, and automatically win. FanDuel, America's #1 sports book.